From extremely humble beginnings, born to a single mother in Puerto Rico, to 4 decades later, being elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, Raul Labrador has been a fixture in Idaho politics for 12 years. An attorney by trade, specializing in immigration law, he campaigned on an immigration reform platform and was one of the leading House members who championed reformation. It did not come to fruition. Now, following a hard-fought, often contentious, unsuccessful gubernatorial run, he's back home in Idaho, weighing options for the next chapter in his life. We're spending the next 30 minutes with Raul Labrador. It starts now on Viewpoint.
From Idaho's News Channel 7, this is Viewpoint.
Hello and welcome to Viewpoint. He has been out of the spotlight in recent months, but today he's back in it as we welcome Raul Labrador back to Viewpoint. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I think you and I had done, I hadn't counted them, but over a half dozen Viewpoints in the time that you were in Congress. And I've got to ask you now, how does it feel to be in front of the camera, not having to worry about being in a sparring match or tote the latest message that that is on the party platform? How does this feel?
You know, it feels fine. But one of the things that I always had, and I think you know this about me, I wasn't much of a message guy. Yeah. I wouldn't toe the party line. I wasn't here to give you the talking points of the Republican Party. I was just going to tell you what I thought, what I believed in. Mm-hmm. That got me in trouble sometimes.
It did.
But it's always good to talk to you. So I'm enjoying it.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I thought, and I kind of joked before we started, that you'd be here in a skiing sweater and sporting a 5-day-old beard, but you look buttoned up.
Well, I try. You know, I shaved this morning for you. I decided I didn't put on a tie, though. I decided that was
you don't
too
need
much.
a tie.
I don't
anymore.
need a tie.
No.
Yes.
What's it like not jumping on an airplane, going to Washington, and coming back every week?
You know, that's actually pretty healthy. That got to a point where going back and forth was draining on the family, draining on the body, on the mind, on the spirit. But I do miss it. I loved being a congressman.
You do miss it?
Yeah, I do miss it. I love being a congressman. It was one of the greatest honors of my life. If it didn't require being away from my family so long, I would have done it longer. But it was fun. You know, it was a fun time. There were some good times, some low points, some high points. But it was always an honor to represent the people of Idaho.
We're going to get into specifics of the low points and the high points in a moment. But I was just interested in what your daily life is like. Is Rebecca getting tired of you being at home 7 days a week?
She's going to get tired pretty soon. You know, I think she liked that routine of having me gone for 4 or 5 days a week, and then I would come home, and it was always, you know, she was always welcoming me. But no, she's fantastic. I think, you know, she's ready for me to start doing the things that I need to do on a daily basis. But it's been fun to be home. It's been fun to be with the family. I'm a grandfather now. Right. And you know, we've had the granddaughter at home during the Christmas holiday, and that was pretty neat.
Has she had to ask you to turn off cable news?
No.
At some point?
I don't watch cable news that much.
Really?
Yeah, I'm kind of, you know, I don't do that much in politics right now. Right. I hate the back and forth sometimes of both sides. You know, you go to Fox News and you get the extreme of one side. You go to MSNBC and you get the extreme partisans on the other side.
Put them together and you get the message, right?
Exactly.
I want to get into what comes next, Raul, but I really want to walk back to what was mentioned in the intro. Your name was at the top of the list in recent months as candidate for Secretary of the Interior.
Yes.
The president was touting you as a potential nominee. As you know, 2 weeks ago, the president tweeted that acting Secretary David Bernhardt would be his nominee. But there are many who say that Bernhardt's work at a law firm that represents clients affected by interior regulations is a huge red flag. The question is, how do you see that situation going down? And should Bernhardt not get the nomination, would you be interested then if the president came to you?
You know, I'm always interested in serving the president of the country in any way possible. The reality is that I don't think Even though I was being considered, I don't think I was one of the finalists. I think there were other people who were being considered.
Some publications said you were at the top of the list.
Yeah, some people said that. I'm not sure that that was entirely accurate. I mean, I'm always in the mix because of my background, my experience. But I'm pretty happy doing what I'm doing. But if I ever get tapped for something like that, it would be an honor.
Yeah. Well, of course, every exit interview includes the questions that you just mentioned when you look back at your time in Congress, ... But specifically, what would you point to and say, yeah, that was it. I did that. I'm proud of that.
You know, the thing I'm most proud of, and it's the work that I did with constituent services. You know, a lot of people don't understand that a member of Congress has a lot of political jobs, but when they're back home, what they're doing is they're just trying to help the people of their state.
Right.
They're trying to help with, issues with the federal government. They're trying to help with, the kids that are trying to go on to the academies, to the military academies. Right. One of my proudest moments is just standing in Albertsons and having a mother come up to me and say, my son's in his 4th year at West Point, and he's so grateful to you for the things that you did for him, for the nomination and for helping him get to West Point. And then they show me pictures and they tell me about how their kid is doing. It's pretty amazing. It's something that I never even thought about when I ran for Congress, and it's one of the memories that I'm going to have with me. Or when I'm sitting in a restaurant in Boise, Idaho, and a father comes up to me and says, you helped my son with some issues that he had with the veteran services. And we called all the other congressional offices and nobody could help, and you guys were able to help him, and now he's receiving the benefits that he needed to receive. There's nothing like that. That's one of the most proud moments of my 8 years in Congress. And I'm very proud of the work that I did when it came to balancing the budget and the deficit. I was one of the few voices in the Republican Party that consistently fought for less spending, less government.
You drew a line in the sand many times and refused to cross it.
I did. And if you look at the list,
some people loved it, some people hated that.
No, and in fact, I was laughing on my way here this morning because the media was complaining about the deficit right now. But every time I tried to fight to contain spending, the local media in Idaho, the local newspapers would attack me. Instead of praising me for the work that I was doing back in Washington, D.C., they would praise other members of Congress because they were willing to vote. They were willing to compromise. But yet, everybody's concerned about the fact that we have the highest deficits that we've ever had. We have the highest spending that we've ever had, the highest debt that we've ever had. But yet, they never praise the people that are actually trying to do something back there. And I did. If you look at all the lists in Washington, D.C., I was always top 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the members of Congress who voted for the least amount of government.
You and Mike Simpson, your colleague from Idaho, weren't always on the same page.
We were not.
When it came to that. He was more moderate and you were more hardline. How was your relationship with Mike in Congress?
I thought it was good. I thought we had very different opinions and different points of view. He was very friendly, especially with the last Speaker of the House, with John Boehner, and I was not as friendly with John Boehner because I didn't think that we were doing the things that we were elected to do. And in fact, if you look at what just happened to the Republicans in Congress, they were kicked out of office because they didn't keep the promises that they made. I had a simple plan when I went to Congress. I was going to do everything that I said that I was going to do. And even if it cost me elections, even if it cost me popularity, and I'm proud that I was able to keep that promise.
Well, on the other side, every politician will say there are many things that I was disappointed that I couldn't finish. What's at the top of the list for you?
Immigration. That was the toughest thing. I went back to Washington, D.C. with an idea that, hey, I'm willing to put some things on the table that other conservatives are not willing to put on the table. And if I do that, the other side will meet me halfway. The other side will say, okay, if you're willing to put those things on the table, then I'm going to put some things on the table that we haven't been willing to do. And that never happened. They're always willing to spend more money. The Democrats in Washington, D.C. are always willing to spend more money on border security and all that stuff. But when it comes to actually changing the law to prevent the inflow of illegal immigration that we have into the United States, to change the laws of asylum, to change the laws at the border of catch and release, all those things that actually create the problem that we have today, they were never willing to put those things on the table.
I'm going to ask you in the next segment, as we look forward in the next segment, about how you feel that end game is going to end up. But I want to go back to a year ago at this time. The gubernatorial battle, three-man fight for the nomination, and about now, it started getting very, very ugly. Did the level of nastiness surprise you or get to you? And when you look back to a year ago, what comes to mind?
You know, it was dirty. It was pretty ugly. It was something that I had never seen before in Idaho politics. If you look at the amount of money that was spent on negative ads in Idaho, I had never seen it before, especially in an intra-party fight.
Right.
Sometimes you saw it, you know, when the nominee won, they would, you know, there was a huge fight between the Republicans and the Democrats. But in primaries, I had never seen anything like that. The amount of lies that were told about me, and I made some mistakes. I made some assumptions about what people believed about me that in retrospect they were wrong. You know, I really believed that people would not believe the lies. I had been a politician for 12 years. You know who I am. Most people who really are in the know who I am, but I didn't realize that there were some people out there who maybe didn't know me as well. I thought that I was a little bit better known, so that was a mistake on my part. So I never believed that they would believe the lies. And I also believed incorrectly that they would remember all the things that I had done. If I had to do it all over again, I would do a better job of defining myself from the beginning instead of letting other people define me. But you know, it is politics, and you win some and you lose some, right?
Did it sour you on state politics and the way that it's and what it's become? And have you spoken to Tommy Ahlquist or Brad Little since then?
You know, I've talked to them. I see them. I actually see Tommy more often than I see Brad Little, just because we're kind of in the same circle. We live in the Eagle. Our kids actually go to school together. You know, it was a pretty nasty thing. It's hard to really get past it sometimes.
Sure.
But you have to. You just have to move on and move on with your life. I'm proud of the work that I did for the people of Idaho, and I'm grateful. Every time I go out, I get many people who just say, we wish you were still our congressman, or we wish you were our governor, and you know, and that does make you feel good.
As you know, in state government, the governor has many appointees. If he called you to run a State Department of some sort, would you take that phone call?
You know, I would love to help Brad in any way possible. I don't think I would be interested in doing anything specific like that, but if there's anything that he thinks I can help him with, I think he's doing a fairly good job. You know, I've been watching from afar some of the appointments that he's made. He's made some really good appointments, and he's tried to do the things that he said he was going to do, so hopefully he will be successful.
We've got a minute before I have to take a break, but in wrapping up your time in Congress, a lot of people don't know that there are a lot of congressmen and women who sleep in their offices.
Yes.
A lot, including Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, former Speaker of the House. You didn't like to talk about it when you were representing your district, but now I think people would like to know, what's it like spending nearly 100 nights in your office, in the place where you work in Congress? You
know, it was kind of funny. I have 5 kids. I have currently 4 kids in college, and it's expensive to live in Washington, D.C. So actually every night I would pull out a mattress, put it on the floor, and I would sleep on my floor. Wow. And it was a little crazy sometimes, you know, because you know, when you're at work, you want to get away from work. Yeah. I never got away from work. I would get up in the morning, start working, and I was working till about 10 o'clock at night, and then I would turn the light off and then just get on the bed and then get up in the morning and keep going. It was an interesting time. There's
a shower, as I recall, and a workout room. Is that where you would shower?
Yeah, so there's a gym in the basement of the Capitol for all members of Congress that we pay to be members of that gym. Yeah. And that's where I would go work out and shower.
You're not going to miss that, are you?
I'm not going to miss that, no.
All right. Well, coming up, as I mentioned, it's time to look ahead at Washington, at the White House, and here at home for Raul Labrador. We're back with more on the first and exclusive exit interview for the former congressman.
Buy more, save more at the fantastic 4-day sale at Furniture Row. That's 4 fantastic days to save $100 on every $1,000 you spend. With the best selection at the lowest prices, guaranteed. It's the perfect time to create a new living room, dining room, bedroom, or fall into a new mattress. And check out doorbusters while they last. Plus, get 7 years no-interest financing. But don't wait. The fantastic 4-day sale at Furniture Row ends Monday.
It was time to update the bathroom,
But we wanted to work with a company we could trust.
and Rebath made it effortless. A Rebath design consultant came to our home and presented us ideas and products in a way that made our decision simple.
They took away the old, installed the new, and gave us the bathroom.
We always wanted.
Trust Rebath with the safety in your bathroom. Call 208-391-4888 and save $750 off your complete bathroom remodel.
It's Ram Truck Month, the greatest time of the year at Peterson's, and you'll save big on the 2019 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Right now, lease a new 2019 Ram Bighorn Crew Cab for only $269 a month, or get a new 2019 Ram Classic for an amazing $20,000 off MSRP. Ram Truck Month is on at Peterson Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Find them at the Idaho Center Auto Mall or online at petersonramjeep.com.
Satisfying your love to drive for over 90 years.
The mountains bracing for even more snow.
So avalanche warnings are still in effect.
The mountain towns up in this direction are getting absolutely pummeled with snow, as you can see.
Winter storms dump piles of snow on our mountain towns.
Snow Day 2019.
So we're checking in with our mountain neighbors, going on the road to see how they're digging out, helping out.
This town is a phenomenal town.
And plowing through this Idaho winter.
This is in Garden Valley.
We'll take you there in the newscast of Idaho's News Channel 7.
The First Alert Weather Team, only on Idaho's News Channel 7.
Welcome back to Viewpoint as we continue and conduct the on-camera exclusive congressional exit interview for Raul Labrador. Appreciate you being here. You mentioned in the last segment that you were never concerned about anything you said getting back to the White House. It really didn't concern you. Now you really don't have to be concerned. So now that you don't, and full transparency, we are taping this before the final decision on Friday's deadline for the government shutdown. What do you see happening with the president's complicated immigration plan? A lot of people know that you were the vice chair on the subcommittee on immigration and border security. Is the president on the right track?
I was actually the chairman of the immigration.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
But, you know, I think the president's trying to do the right thing for the United States. I find it fascinating how the Democrats cannot see that in this president, they could actually get more done than under any other Republican president. Because remember, this president is not an ideologue.
No.
He doesn't really believe specific things that must be done a certain way.
Right.
He just wants results. He wants border security. He wants a wall. He wants a reduction in illegal immigration. He's willing to give them whatever they want in exchange for those things. And instead what they do is they have fixated on the wall, and they have told them, if you want a wall, we don't want a wall. And I find that really fascinating, because he would actually give them some things that other Republican presidents would not be willing to give them. And I think about that with every other issue that's out there. He's not really a right-winger. And he's more moderate in some of his beliefs, but he is willing to keep his word on the things he told his base that he was going to do. So instead of trying to take away those victories from him, they should give him some of those things that he wants, and then he would then deal with them. He's a deal maker. Right? He just wants to get a deal done.
Yeah, it doesn't appear Pelosi is willing to back off of the line.
They're not. They're not. And I actually think this is going to help the president. I believe we lost the House in 2018 because Republicans were not willing to have a fight on immigration. I think if we would have had a fight on immigration, I think that 2018 would have been a different result. And instead, they had to fight on immigration after the election.
Right.
And I know the poll numbers show that his numbers went down and all those things, but what people don't realize is that in November of next year, it's the base that's going to come out and support him, because they said he stood by us, and now we will stand with him.
Do you think he wins re-election?
I think it's going to be difficult for him to win re-election. However, as I see how far to the left the Democratic Party is coming, is turning into, the ideas that they're putting forth, I think they're going to be wildly unpopular with the American people. I always say it's not that the Republicans are good, it's that the other side is so bad sometimes that that's what allows us to win some elections.
Well, I want to ask you about that divide between the two parties, and the divide within your own party. It just began to widen when you went to Washington. You never minced words when it came to, as you mentioned, Boehner or Ryan. Do you feel that Congress will ever get back to a more workable institution and not the institution right now that just can't get anything done?
You know, I think the problem with Congress is not the words, it's the fact that we have the top leadership makes all the decisions in Washington, D.C. I think we need to go back to the days when the committees were so important that a committee chair was a really important position.
Right.
I mean, I actually watched committee chairs in Washington, D.C. being told by the leadership that they couldn't do something they wanted to do in their committee. Then those committees become less important, and the members of the committee, they become frustrated because they're not real congressmen, they're not real legislators. I always said, allow me to legislate, and we can, that's the real legislative process leads to compromise, because you have a committee works on an issue, the right wing and the left wing of both parties, they work on that issue in the committee, that gets to the House floor, then the Senate needs to work on the same issue, the right wing and the left wing of their committees work on the issue, and then eventually you get to a conference committee where both sides and both chambers work together towards a compromise.
Right.
That's real compromise. Compromise is not being told by your leadership, by the Speaker of the House, you have to do it this way because that's the only way it's going to pass the House and the Senate. We have broken down the system in Washington, D.C., and until we bring back that system that our founding fathers so honored, I don't think you're going to have a good Congress.
You're passionate about that. You were called by a friend as the angriest man in Congress, and you said that it sucks your soul.
It does.
Do you still believe that, and have you found your soul?
No, I think that was misunderstood. Yes, I said that. It's not that I lost my soul. Is that in order to get along in Washington, D.C., you have to give up the things that you believe in. And I was never able or willing to do that. So I never lost my soul, but that means that you're always kicking your head against the wall. Because if you're one of those few people who goes back to Washington, D.C. and decides that you're not going to compromise your principles, that you're not going to give your voting card to your Speaker of the House, that you're not willing to do whatever your leadership tells you to do, but you're actually going to do the things that you told your constituents you were going to do, it's a very lonely place in Washington, D.C. But I never lost my soul because I never compromised who I was.
It sounds like to me, in spending this time with you, that there are more things that you don't miss than you do.
You know, there's a lot of things I do not miss, but I do miss being right in the middle of the battle. I was in every single battle for 8 years. You know, I went there as a freshman congressman, and I made a name for myself from the first day that I was in Washington, D.C. I was the go-to guy on many of the issues, on spending, on immigration, the biggest issues of the day. As you know, I was on Meet the Press many times. I was on all the national shows. I'm very proud of the work that I did. I miss it, but I love being home with my family as well.
We've got about a minute. What happens to Raul Labrador next?
You know, right now I'm just going to be a lawyer for a while. I'm going to do some government relations, immigration law, and then I'm going to look for maybe opportunities in the future. I'm still a young man. I'm only 51 years old, and we'll see what the future brings.
I suspect there could be some church mission work as well?
There could be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I've always appreciated the fact you were accessible, you were willing to talk about the issues, you were willing to answer the hard questions, and those times that local media did come after you, you never ran away from the accusations and the criticism. You always were accessible, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate your time in Congress. And good luck in the future.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll be back with a final word right after this.
Buy more, save more at the fantastic 4-day sale at Furniture Row. That's 4 fantastic days to save $100 on every $1,000 you spend. With the best selection at the lowest prices, guaranteed. It's the perfect time to create a new living room, dining room, bedroom, or fall into a new mattress. And check out doorbusters while they last. Plus, get 7 years no-interest financing. But don't wait. The fantastic 4-day sale at Furniture Row ends Monday.
Designed for dynamic performance. Designed for all-weather adventure. This is the Acura RDX with super handling all-wheel drive. Designed for where you drive.
Visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the RDX.
For one night only, see a historic television event when the biggest names in music take the same stage to sing the hits made famous by a musical legend. Blake Shelton hosts ELVIS, an all-star tribute, tonight on NBC. He's won an Emmy, a Grammy, a Tony, even an Oscar, and now he's going to be the new coach.
Is this fun, guys?
John Legend joins The Voice, February 25th on NBC.
Now I'm worried.
What they do on these machines is unreal.
The people are great.
It is fun, you know?
I am going to get me a fish.
This is my first year.
Today was fantastic. Doesn't get any better than this.
Enjoyed the last 30 minutes. Exit interview with Raul Labrador. Now you've got time to be a full-time grandfather. Yes. You're a grandfather of 1, father to 5, and a huge BYU football fan. Does that mean we'll be seeing you at the Boise State BYU game every year?
I try to go every single time.
Yeah.
I love BYU. I know it's hard. You know, I had a lot of people mad at me because I would root for my alma mater instead of BSU. I love BSU, but anytime BYU is playing them,
you root for BSU every single week until they play BYU.
Absolutely, and I hope that BYU crushes them every year. They haven't been doing a very good job of that.
No, they have not. We'll see what happens this year, and I'm sure we'll see you on the sidelines in Provo and on the blue. Raul Labrador, thanks for being our guest today. That's all the time we have for now. I'll see you back here tonight for the hour-long edition of the Sunday News at 10. Doug is back next week at this time for another Viewpoint right here on Idaho's News Channel 7. So long.